Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Napoleonic Wars, another 33rd historical event. And the map is known, the location we are well versed in. We are back to battle at Waterloo. So, as you can see here, nice little farmlet, houses all over the place. The Brits getting themselves sorted out, ready for the first round, which is underway. Stage 1, the defence of Hougoumont. At 11:30, Jerome's divisions attacked the British right flank in force, intending to draw the reserves from Wellington centre. As an anchor of Wellington's right flank, holding this farmhouse would be critical. A bitter struggle ensued as it became clear to the French that the British Coldstream Guards would defend the farmhouse to the last man. Sneaky people up on the top of the house. There we go. And an attack by the French. Look at this. They're moving in towards this building. And the Vieille Guard leading the charge, as always, with Lepage and commentator's curse taking down Lepage again. Poor lad. But look at that, brave souls charging the main gate while under fire from all directions. As it looks like more members from the 33rd are coming in to assist in the taking down of the door, and casualties falling all over the place. It looks like Corporal Le Bihan has been taken down by a teammate, so the average team killing going on as these guys are going to respawn and make their way forward. And look at that, being cut down all over the place. Skelly there, looking to try and get a kill on the people defending. It is the 84th. Look at these fine fellows. There's Hornblower. Ah, Swiss Oberst French monk. Friend of the channel. And kitten owner. Yes, he has recently received some pussy in his life. Yeah, I know, terrible. But I've seen a picture. She's very sweet. Anyway. So, as you can see, sadly, French monk is no longer French and no longer monkish. He's now currently dead. Oh no, we've lost Space! Oh, poor Space has been team killed. Oh, poor Space. And now you can see Hauptmann Mister from the Swiss 7E has picked up the tricolour and the Imperial Eagle and makes away with it. So you can see inside the main courtyard, you've got light skirmishers, Mr. Donald Trump up there. And the defence on the main door continues as the 33rd Bastardinus making his way in. Here's Trooper Pollux as well. And they're charging in to try and finish off as many people. You can see guys on the roof taking hits. These guys literally running backwards. It's crying noob, now dead noob. As Mr. continues to flaunt his ownership of the Imperial Eagle. Coming through the front door, Caporal Bernard. Or Caporal Bernard, from the Vieille Guard Grenadiers. And look at this. His musket soaked with blood. The 17-inch bayonet doing its thing. And you can see members of the Black Watch being finished off by the French forces fighting around the flag. And look at this. 33rd taken down by Hougoumont. And down goes Adam 00138. So it looks like they managed to repel borders for the time being, but there's a secret Frenchman. Correction! There's a corpse. Who, as you can see, is now hanging out. Yeah, not his finest moment. Never mind. The Brits get back in and look to defend. As the main square, the final members of the French army are being finished off. Here's Vladimir of the 33rd, getting stabbed in the bottom. Nice block there coming in from Valdemar, I should say, as the murdering continues. And in comes the members of the 6E. Look at these fellows. Fantastic stuff. And there's a commanding officer in there. Look at that, it's Lepage. And look, he's got a new wig on. Doesn't he look wonderful? With that fine... Oh dear. And so he ends up under a pile of bodies. So that might be a normal night out for LePage, we're not sure yet. However, support is coming in the form of an awful lot of Frenchmen. Sneaky fellow from the 33rd. At the back here is Spider. And Gummy Cat Fusilier. So, the pressure continues to be placed on this complex. Oh goodness. Alexander Gilles from the 33rd. Look at that. And he's taking down the door. Oh! That was a rather long distance stab. And it worked out for his opponent, sadly not for he. Fizz Wet Dollar Deck, or Dollar Sec, sorry, from the 3PP. And there another member. Hussar Banan. We'll call him Banana. There's Neat as well in there. So you can see the defensive position continuing. And in charges LePage. Almost immediately out goes the sword. Oh, they're determined to push and push and push. Oh dear, down goes LePage again. Sadly for him. He was finished off, but he led his troops bravely through the smoke and the death. And oh, look at Ito. Through the window to get those all-important shots onto the defending Brits. Like this man here, Oberst French Monk. Looking very beard-like. Look at that fine beardage today on Mr. Monk. So, we continue to observe. Frankish monk, I should say. Or the French monk. Look at that, going in for a shot on the guy in the window. Waiting. Waiting, possibly getting bored. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, look at this. Bit of coverage here, covering the back doors. It's all about the back door entrance. And Ensign Max and the 33rd are making their way in through the back door. There's Masamoon in there as well. And Fusilier Crusher going in to do the damage. So, let's see how these guys are progressing. You can see, obviously, the attackers have constant lives. The defenders, a bit being a siege, essentially will not. Normally, it's about 5 lives. But, oh dear. Tends to vary. Oh, look, he's got nice shiny shoes, isn't he? I'll give him that. Unfortunately, to be honest, the fact he's got shiny shoes is not really top of his list of priorities, but we'll gloss over that detail. There's Private Spider on top of the house. Supporting in the corner is Lance Corporal Last Man. And here on the corners, there's Tixis. Oh, goodness me, fire coming in. Let's look at this. We're following Tixis here as we make our way through the barns and the spawn area of the British. Sergeant Major Rick. A little duck. Look at that. Fine stab by the duck. Oh, look at that. Ambushing coming in from the duck. And that's why you don't mess with the ducks, boys and girls. They will literally duck you up. And look at that. Another stab going in by Mr. Duck. Fine stabbing work from the duck. And down goes the duck. He is cracked. And we're looking at Sticklets from the 33rd. Moving in with a member of the 60 Grenadiers. Look at these guys. Anton from the LALGY and the French have captured the fort. Wow. Well, after one of those sexy little resets, we are on to round number 2. Stage 2, Delon's attack. Shortly after engaging Hougoumont, Delon's corps begun its major offensive on the British centre, attempting to break the Allied line in one swift blow. So, you can see here the lines getting set up in the French army. And members of the 32nd. That's got to be, yes it is, our old friends, the Vieille Garde, under the command of the walrus himself, the man that is Colonel LePage. So there you can see Major Hugo with also fine moustache leading his way out the lads. And here you can see Glenart Invitational for the 33rd in their fine cavalry uniforms. And also here is Ensign Max, another line from the 33rd. Looks like he's taken a bit of damage recently. Tail End Charlie is Spider from the 33rd. So, let's see if we can get an idea as to what they're planning to do. Let's have a look. And that's something that I'm hoping would be very helpful for things like Bannerlord and stuff like that. Maybe even Holdfast after early access, is the ability to see an overview of the entire map with maybe sort of indications as to where players are. Almost like a big version of the minimap. Because it would be good from a tactical point of view to be able to see how everybody is moving around this lovely, lovely map. So you can see there, lines moving out. You got a total of 3 lines moving out down towards the wooded area. Another set of soldiers moving out from that wooded area. I'm guessing by the spread out formation they will be skirmishers or lights. You've also got the cavalry here circling around, supporting the line. The opposing enemy's cavalry stays in the far distance. No doubt staying nearby to support the lines. Which makes sense. You can see just over by the cavalry, there's supporting lines nearby. Another supporting line of the Brits moving out on the right-hand side. In fact, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines from the British forces moving out to their far left flank. And you've also then got a line moving to the far right of the British forces, and the French making their way down. Now that's interesting to see if they're going to try and actually sneak down by the hedges and get into an ambush position, but it's not going to do them much good because their opponents have moved away from that area and look to be gathering together, sort of corralling themselves over here, way away from any attempts by the French cavalry to engage them. Now, it might be that they charge through the line of the British forces to get to the British cavalry, doing some damage on the way if they possibly can. They may lose a few horses on that route if that's the case. So, let's see what happens. As you can now see the lines, they want to get themselves into a strong position. And there you go, you can see already the British line has started engaging. You can see, oh, look at that! A beautiful shot from Night Stalker, taking down poor Hussar's Banana. The banana has been peeled. And they're going to be very pleased with that. They lost a man. And look at that. In come the cavalry. And now the cavalry's been decimated by the line. Not really in a position to stand up to that kind of level of attack. And a few men being barged to the floor by the French cavalry. Now, more to the point, where's the British cavalry? The British cavalry is out of the way. These guys, the Black Watch, will have to defend themselves against the nasty, nasty attack. And they're doing really, really well. Look at this. They've taken down so many of the numbers of the horses, but their numbers themselves have been pared down to the bone by the ride-bys of these cavalry forces. So 4 horses remain. Got section over here. And also now support coming in from a French line. This could be a very, very big problem as far as these guys are concerned. As you can see, more fire coming in. And this is a lot of damage being done. The 33rd also engaging over there. Let's see if we can find out how these guys are getting on. Look at this. Another line of the 33rd starting to move up. You can see over here another line courtesy of the Brits, finished off down to the last few fellows. Final here from the 3PP, trying to defend and sliced across the neck. Bastardinius. helping with his teammates to finish off the remaining members of the Black Watch, as it looks like other members of the Black Watch. There's Sebas, Beck Sebas from the Queen's Royal Brigade have had to make their way away. Not really sticking around to help the opponents. Or to help their friends, I should say. An untenable situation. So, 32nd and a nice spread formation under the, and here is the VA Guard. Look at that, nice double line. The page checking to make sure the guys are finding their length. On the distance of the shots. Oh, LePage, did you see that? LePage taking a bullet as his boys fire. Oh, wow. LePage now not in a good situation. He's going to be bleeding pretty badly. Took a shot to the left thigh. You can see the blood spray all over his uniform. One more shot and LePage is in trouble. But the VA Guard stand firm. So, here we're looking at the 1ER. Members of the Swiss Brigade and fine fellows to a man. Who is up the front? It's Space. It's the spaceman himself. So you can see him, stogie in mouth, with a fine long line, including this fellow at the back, looking very prim and proper, with, of course, as everyone knows, the most deadly pistol in the history of armed warfare. Well, it kills you if it hits you, but it's just if it hits you. So the VA Guard continue to fire their volleys into the enemy as we look at Lieutenant Balaise now taking pot shots at the forces chasing down their opponents. And look at that. Recruit Gibbs is taken down. There's the fire coming in. And there we go. It's going to be an all charge in about 15 seconds. As it looks like these members of the Black Watch supporting the other members of the British line. And here you can see the 6E. Fire coming in from the 33rd. Crying Noob gets finished off. Lieutenant Colonel Mycross has been killed. And so we watch. Oh, look at that. Sudden turn to one location. Because over here, in and out flanking position, is the VA Guard. And look at that, they break an attack with a fine battle cry. Oh God, 3 of them fall almost immediately. Not good for the VA Guard, oh dear. And it's not looking like a naughty, it's looking like a very naughty situation for the VA Guard. They've lost their commanding officer. And it looks like there's only one survivor at this current moment. It is Marcel, the sole survivor of the VA Guard. Look at these fine fellows. Get in there. Oh, look at that. A fine turn and a stab. And I think that's it as far as this defensive position of the British was concerned. Now you can see here a last detachment of forces under attack from cavalry. And now you can see these guys trying to defend their position against cavalrymen. Here they come. Here's the reinforcements. Now they can make themselves in to a very, very pointy and sharp defensive formation. So, is it really? There's 2 people versus 33. I think it's fair to say that United Kingdom could be in trouble. Oh, and there's a team kill going on. And there is Lockdown, murdered. Well, here we are, the Union charge, and high on the hill are the cannons that await the members of the French army. Stage 3, charge of the Union Brigade. With Delon's offensive making headway in the centre, Wellington commits his household and heavy cavalry brigades, scattering the French infantry. In their thirst for glory, however, the brave horsemen continue pursuit to the French side of the valley, intending to take the gun positions. The British cavalry, by now, are exhausted, tired, and in a precarious position should they be countercharged. Oh, who's this? It's Dirt Mail. Phoenix Ops as well. Plenty of experienced people moving into the artillery positions. Oh, look at this! Sergeant Lecoz and other members of the VA Guard are on the artillery. Oh, this should be good. You always see very, very well-drilled firing of the rifles and muskets when it comes to the VA Guard. Be interesting to see if the same applies with the cannons. So you can see there, cavalry remains behind. Two significant banks, I should say, or 2.5 maybe, yeah, about 2, of cannon. And here, masses of cavalry. Absolutely oodles of the stuff. There's a lot of horses going on here. An awful lot of clippity-clops. And who's the man? There's Ensign Max in the fine uniform and leader of the French armies. So, looks like we've had a premature firing here. Someone popped a shot off early. But anyway, there we go. They've destroyed Delon's corpse and now they advance towards the cannons waiting for them. And the UK gets ready to move. Look at this. France will fire at will. Oh, that's going to be dangerous. Dangerous. Look at that. Oh, isn't that beautiful? The firing of these fellas, just the timing. Absolutely beautiful. As the French also, there we go, cannons taking down multiple members of horses coming towards them. And the charge begins. The British cavalry making their way in. Look at this, isn't this beautiful? Waiting for an opportunity to get the cannon shot. And a few members of the VA Guard are barged to the floor and sliced and diced. Here's Philippe, fighting for his life and sadly not succeeding. Always a problem where defending against our cavalry is concerned. Poor Major Hugo has been finished off. As more of the cavalry pour in, taking down the cannoneers, but also losing some of their horses in the process. Recruits ruler of Sweden, currently lying on the ground. He's got his pole arm in he's got his pole in his hand. Yeah, what can you say about that? Is he going to get himself a new horse? Yes, he can. Grand theft horsey has been committed. And it looks like they've got a few spares over here, which I have to say is nice. So at least they brought a few spares for the battle. It definitely looks very coffin-like. But never mind. Here, Sergeant Bock of the Queen's Royal Brigade, the 1st ELVN, or VN, yeah, that is right, sorry, my apologies. So, look at the length of that cavalry sabre, the extra length, to give them the reach to kill people on the floor. Absolutely brutal stuff. Let's look at this gentleman with his bearskin on. Brigadier Ansar, whoops, takes down one of the Lancers. Oh, fine. Block there. Another block. As he looks like he's crashed his horse. Down goes the horse. Brigadier Answer is dead. A Skelly came in to try and take out the enemy. And it's these lancers that are a danger to the cavalry. As horses start to fall. Left, right and centre. Nixgar of the LALGY. Trying to get that all-important slice and dice. And look at the thinness of that blade. Compared to the general thickness of these fellows. The dragoons. That big, heavy, brutal sword. And the final member of the French has been finished off. The Brits defeated. Although apparently Bonaparte, poor old Boney, was injured. We move on to the next round. Well, here we are. The siege, the defence of Le Haye.
Stage 4. The defence of La Haye Sainte. Like Hougoumont on the right, the defence of La Haye Sainte in the centre would prove decisive for the British defence. If captured, Napoleon could use the farmhouse as an anchor from which to break Wellington's centre. The defence is undertaken by men of the King's German Legion, but after prolonged fighting, their ammunition is running short.
But I would like to make sure I get the pronunciation at least a little bit correct. Anyway, this is the building complex being defended. Fine stuff. Obviously. Oh, God! Major Kincaid shot in the bonds. Almost immediately. Holy crap. That's a tad unfortunate. Definite orifice aiming there. Oh, he's going in with his fists. Lance Corporal Mountain determined to attack. And sadly, not getting the opportunity to do so. So, knocking on the door is the members. Ruler of Sweden of the 33rd. Sacrificial lamb, possibly. We'll have to wait and see. As they're taking down all of the obstacles. Oh, goodness me, as they get ambushed by the Swiss first. There's Space leading the boys forward. Oh, there goes Space. Sorry, Space. Oh, poor Space. Oh, I think he'd like to sort of survive more than 5 minutes of a round. Bless, poor lad. And you can see here the assassination of the horses begins. So that the cavalry have nowhere to run. And now they're in the building, so they're fighting the swords, the bayonets, the murderization, the bloodletting. As they use this as a back route to get into the main square. Hubertus of the LALGY. And look at that. Oh, fine engineering work. Caro Pink, Sergeant Major of the Queen's Royal Brigade. And look at that. He is literally engineering for his life. Trying to put in that barricade to stop the enemy from getting in. And he's determined. Look at that. Spikes going out as well. He is basically saying, sod off completely. And down goes one of the enemy. To be included within the defences as being built by the fine engineering work. The likes of Caro Pink. And that's a real unfortunate thing, is that you can't build the doors back on again. You can't put them back on the hinges. So Caro here. There we go. He's got his hammer swinging. And anything to... Whoops, a daisy. Caro Pink smacking someone with his mallet when he's trying to build those defences. And look at that. It's just going to make it more awkward for the enemy to get in now. Is he going to put more sandbags on the top of that? We'll have to wait and see. Oh, we've lost the engineer. Caro Pink has been murdered. Poor Caro. As in come multiple members of the VA Guard. Oh, goodness me. Look at that. Yep, that's Lepage. The late lamented Lepage. Dead at the doorway. With other members of his regiment sadly fallen. But the flag, the jack, flies high, both on the front gate and in the main square. So, the little fella still hiding out, Recruit Seagull. Oh, fine shot, Mr. Seagull. Now's the time to pause, maybe. Oh, he's charging in with the bayonet raised. And now decides to pause and reload as a man wanders around above his head. So Seagull, now reinforced and looking to take more pot shots on the enemy as the fire goes in, as Ruler of Sweden comes charging in, and Ruler of Sweden gets horribly murdered. Oh dear, down goes Colonel Snowfox of the 15th RS, killed in fact by the Ruler of Sweden. Now I'm not sure if that's a Swedish ruler or one of those plastic things for measuring distance or length, you know, Swedish ruler, or whether it was somebody who actually ruled Sweden. So, not 100% certain there on the kind of Swedish ruler we're talking about here. Oh dear. And he's blocked the ladder now, that's a bit rude. Never mind. The battle of the main square, now jumped upon by these fine fellows that are now considerably dead. Look at this. Glenart, Invitational 33rd. And he ain't oh, he forced a couple of team kills in there as well. Look at that. More team kills going in there. Always the norm in Napoleonic Wars. Doobie. Oh dear, poor Doobie. Team killed as well. Look at this. Trying to get in, but they're looking up to the top. As here is Meeseeks, recruit of the 33rd, following in with the rest of the lads. As you can see them snaking to avoid the bullets coming out of the location, like this fellow taking pot shots at them. As the cavalry continues to move up. Look at this. Tylorus reloading his rifle, getting ready to go. In comes the horse charge. Oh goodness me. And here he is circling around. Correction, there he goes. He's now come to an unceremonious end, with a horse sitting on his face. Never mind. As here, more fighting going on as Valdemar finished off. There's a final member here of the French army. Survives. It's Philippe. And look at that. A fine response there coming in from Ensign Burns of the 70th. 3 kills on the trot. Going for his 4th. And look at that. A fine attack stab. Is he going to go in for a quick reach attack? And a fine blocking and another kill here. Ensign Burns currently on a roll. And he takes a stab. And he goes down. So, he's going to be pleased with that. Look at that. Little Duck, 15 kills, 3 deaths. That's just obscene. But, all part of the fun. So, 26 seconds remaining. The Brits now still hold this fine location. And don't claim that you did it until the clock says 0. I've seen many a battle lost in the last 15, 30 seconds of a match. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. It happens. Best not to tempt fate. But here we go. The British have defended this location. And we move on to the next stage. Well, here we are. The next stage, this is Ney's charge.
Stage 5, Ney's cavalry charge. Believing the British centre to be sufficiently weakened and mistaking the movement of all the wounded to the rear as a full retreat, Marshal Ney commits the French cavalry reserves to an all-out offensive. Regardless of Ney's misinterpretation of the event, the thundering hooves of the best cavalry France has to offer may prove enough to hammer Wellington's centre into submission.
The cavalry charging a mass square of the British. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, I cannot recommend highly enough the film Waterloo. Christopher Plummer in there. Somebody Siegel, I can't remember his first name. But the helicopter shot with the horse and all the men and the massive amount of squares. Absolutely spectacular. No CGI, ladies and gentlemen. They did it for real. Making it all the more impressive. And look at this, the square being formed by the British forces. So here you can see the front line bending a knee to try and give a little bit of a spiky comeback to the enemy. And they've just got to sort out their squariness of it. So they're going to have to pull the size of the square in a little bit. They're not going to make it that big. And this is like herding cats, ladies and gentlemen, trying to get this many people into a formation together. Civilized bear waiting. Wow, 8 minutes to go. These boys better get into this square quickly. The arty begins its fire. And look at that, Cassius killing Lacoste and Le Bihan. Oh my goodness, and Night Stalker. Oh, fantastic. And the artillery now have fired their shot and must retreat to the square. As poor members of the VA Guard, oh my God, look at this. We're going to go down here to what will be a good shot coming over the hill. Here comes the French cavalry. Look at this. Oh, goodness me. And the fire coming in from the defenders. Oh, heavens, look at this. Oh, jumping over the top into the centre. Oh, a square never lasts long in this game. Very, very hard to keep solid with the horses being able to jump over the top. Needless to say, very difficult to do. Getting a horse to jump over loads of spikes like that. There's Francois Lacoste from the GI-6E taken down. Remaining members die horribly as they reform and regroup their numbers. Down goes a horse. And the square remains almost square-like. I would say more of a blob. But here comes the cavalry again. Look at this. And their fire is going into these guys, the cavalrymen. And they are cutting them to pieces. Holy crap, look at that. Fantastic fire. And the French. Now you can see them splitting up. Breaking their forces into two bunches. And then charging in over to the top. They're not going to survive very long in the centre. But maybe they can cause enough disruption in the main square to take out as many enemies as they can. And look at that. Down goes one of the horses again. Who's this fellow? It's Corporal Bernard. A close moment there. Thought he was going to take a few more out. But look at this. The line's surviving very well. And these guys limited on lives. The cavalry has no limit. Not very square-like, I have to say. But as said previously, not easy to get as many people into a square formation as this. 105 people basically in a single square. A very, very ambitious attempt. We're certainly sure of that. Cannons getting ready, being loaded. Who's the cannon? Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. The 33rd getting aggressive. Look at this. Captain Cedric with the boys and ruler of Sweden. Fine drumming work in the centre. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? As the fire comes in to the cavalry as the 33rd break and attack. Fantastic play there as this main blob of the enemy forces manages to survive the onslaught of the horse. And there is Major Griggs of the 13th RS, and lots of horse crash and bodies and people being knocked to the floor by the knees of the horses. Brutal, brutal stuff going on in the main square. The French dragoons being finished off. Look at that. Barging as many as he can to the floor. And down goes his horse. Manages to get back up until brutally stabbed by Mr. Fox, Fusilier of the 33rd. And so, not much time left for France to capture the square. And what a defence it's been here by the members of the British Army. That's more of a Toblerone than it is a square, I have to say. But here comes the French. The cavalry. Look to the right, lads. In comes the hoofy badness that is the French cavalry. Oh, that's a bad crash. As proven there. The horse gets murdered. As down goes the poor sod carrying the beacon. Quite literally. Very fast he went down. And look at this. It looks like the cavalry's lost a bit of momentum. They're not attacking in enough force, but oh, look at this! This has got to be the cavalry of the Vieille Guard. How did we know? Oh dear. And it is the Vieille Guard attacking in cavalry formation. Moving in, trying to do as much damage, murdering as possible. As down goes Legrand and Marcel and de la Terre. So, you can see yet more forces, more waves of cavalry continue to break against the brutal square of British forces. And the fire continuing out of the square, or the blob. Very nasty situation here for the French. They've got 1.5 minutes to make a severe dent in the British defence. And look at this. Look, almost double rows here. Few gaps here and there. There's Anton firing into the enemy. The defensive position. There's Colonel Spoons, the commanding officer. He gets one stab in. He goes in for another horsey stab. Goes in for a third one. Oh, fantastic stuff. 3 multiple stabs there by the Spoons until he's finally murdered by a man on foot. There's Fusilier, Mr. Fox, coming under a bit of pressure, taken down. But look at this. The square, the blob, continuing to hold. Fine play here by the British Army. Doing a great job of holding back the constant wave of attacks of the French cavalry forces. Can they kill another wave, we ask ourselves. Oh dear, one more charge. And that poor lad, their logic was probably disconnecting, hence the reason he was walking backwards. And look at this. Over the hill come the French cavalry, charging into the battle. Look at this. Oh, heavens above, down they go. There's Pierrick from the Vieille Guard Grenadiers, charges in. But this is the trouble, as soon as they get in and they lose that momentum, that's the benefit of the horse. As soon as they lose that momentum, they're as good as dead. And look at this. Charles Delatte. Or de la Terre. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Holy crap. That was a serious defence. And so here we are on the final round.
Stage 6. The advance of the Imperial Guard. Sainte finally succumbs to the French attacks in the centre, and in the wake of its fall, Napoleon commits his Imperial Guard to the perilously frail British centre.
Now, this will be a nasty, nasty battle. Not that they all hasn't been, but it's going to be particularly brutal for the French charging into the lines of the British Army. Those lobster backs will be waiting. There's space. Keeping the boys focused. And so the UK are going to form down the road. So here you can see the dip in the ground from the worn road. Let's go and have a look at the French. Look at these fine fellows. Major Kincaid. Look at that nose. Don't they look all fantastic? Vive indeed. Oh, that's probably the VA Guard coming in at the back. Oh, it's the 33rd, no less. This is quite a significant number. This is the advance of the Old Guard. Look at this. And l'attaque is being played on the drums. Eric. Or Pierrick. I'll attack indeed. So, following Major Kincaid, look at this force. The Brits waiting. Starting to breach the top of the hill. You've got the likes of this fella. Oh, that was... Who fired a shot? Who was that? Who fired prematurely? Yes, they are most certainly coming. The French army, the Old Guard, makes its way towards the battle. Look at this. It's difficult to see through the fog. And they're going to keep it together. Wait until you can see the whites of their eyes. And then unleash. Oh, look at that. But only cut down a few. Did not take as much damage. And the charge. The French charging in as there. More fire coming in. And the fire coming from the French as well. Oh, heavens. Look at that. And some of them running already. Look at this. Some of the Brits literally fleeing from the onslaught of the fearsome French army. And who wouldn't? These fine fellows. The top of the range Napoleonic War Army for over 100 years. No mean feat, ladies and gentlemen. A testament to the fighting spirit of the French. There you go. Rip Brussels. History has been undone. There you have it. And space has got frozen. Oh, look at that. That was locked down, got frozen. Oh dear, never mind. Oh dear. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh dear, a little bit of admin abuse going on. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. And my thanks go to, of course, the 33rd and every single regiment that attended tonight to make this event the fun event that it was. Anyway, we'll see you again for more Napoleonic Wars. It won't be going anywhere. Take care, everyone. Cheerio, byes.